Did you know that a necropolis is a cemetery, especially a large one, belonging to an ancient city, the Old World? Are you ready to have your mind blown? Are you ready to expose where the Old World civilization, an extremely advanced worldwide population, where they went? There are thousands of necropolises in the world, ranging from small burial sites to vast ancient cities of the dead. The Ming tombs, located near Beijing, China, are the burial site for 13 emperors of the Ming dynasty. In total, it's estimated that several hundred individuals were buried across these tombs, where the exact number of bodies is difficult to confirm. Due to limited excavations, most tombs remain unexcavated, all to hide where the previous civilization really went. Oh, wait, no. I mean, all for preservation, of course. The precise count of individuals under this entire site is unknown. Can you believe what we just found? I really think that we have just unlocked something massive. And once you know, you will know forever. There is no turning back. So, let's go further. When archaeologists unearthed the tomb of the emperor, they discovered not only intricate treasures. These treasures are old world technology. They found things at this site from the old world, 100%. And when we all understand how to read these sentences now, like we do here, these stories make so much more sense. The treasures that we are all told that they found include golden crowns and jewelry, silk robes, plates, cups, jade items. And then they found handwritten scrolls and ancient books containing Taoist texts, guiding and protecting the emperor's spirit in the afterlife, where we are all told today that the afterlife is a myth, where I'm not sure that these myths are so mythical after all. They also found weapons. Now, we also know that they have found so much more at this site that we're not being told about. We know this based on what we have seen and proven throughout the first 104 episodes. The Dingling Tomb is a part of the Ming Tombs complex. The texts and scrolls found in the Dingling Tombs were originally taken to the National Museum of China in Beijing, taken for preservation and study. However, many were extremely fragile, and some just deteriorated right in front of their eyes, right into thin air. They were just gone. Unfortunately, we are all told only a limited number of texts found were successfully preserved. Can you believe this? Or better yet, do you believe this? Do you believe that most of the texts that they found are just gone? I am not accepting that narrative anymore. I think that's a bunch of nonsense, if I'm being honest. It sounds like something you would say if you don't want anyone else to know what you found. Finding intricate treasures, like we've been shown. But going on further, where it states that according to local accounts, nearly everybody involved with the excavation then suffered from unusual misfortunes and illnesses, and some even died. The archaeologists involved in the site, after they were done, they died under mysterious circumstances. Right after, let's be honest, what did they find? Did someone not want them to tell the world what was truly found? I have no idea, and I'm simply reading what we are told. These are questions that you can all answer for yourself, but it seems very odd that the texts found are all gone, and the people that excavated the site are no longer here to tell tales of what they really saw. To add to all of this, we see that after the initial excavation, they resealed it up, and all future excavations of the Ming tombs were halted. The Chinese government has since prohibited further exploration, both to protect the tombs. No. It then goes on to try to scare us away from the site, saying they don't want to anger the spirits but we all know that they're hiding what's in there. I believe it is the old world civilization. I believe there are many buried in this location. Tunnel networks, catacombs, in other words. Underground structures. These are sealed up to us today, but we know it's not sealed up to them. They are not preserving anything. These are the same people that wouldn't hesitate to bomb a city. They don't care about preserving cities. And this is all in my opinion, of course, but you get the point. Protected by our friends yet again, as of 2003, where everything was just fine for thousands of years until this group shows up, and I couldn't be more thankful that they love our sites. With no excavation since 1989, and only 3 tombs open to the public. So if someone were to say, no, they aren't hiding anything from us. I've been there. This is open to the public. Well, no, it's not. The Ming tombs were just found in 1956. Again in our timeline. Everything that we have shown to this point has all just been found again. Within the last 200 years, finding the old world's work, finding that the old world, they were not just riding around on donkeys. They were not living in huts, and they were not going to the bathroom in their front lawn, like we're all being told. Living by candlelight and suffering in the summers because it's too hot and suffering in the winters because it's too cold. This is nonsense. That narrative is in the 1800s because that's when the reset took place and began our civilization today. This previous civilization that we're talking about was very powerful. A worldwide group constructing elaborate burial complexes. Each tomb is a self-contained underground palace. Underground palaces that we are not allowed to go and see today. Finding texts at the site that are no longer here and have just dissolved into thin air. We all know that this site is so much more than what we're being told and is 100% a site from the old world. Check these pictures out. You have dirt with massive statues just in the middle of nowhere, or what we think of as the middle of nowhere now. These photos were taken between the 1920s and the 1940s, meaning that they were taking these photos before excavating the site and finding what was underneath all of this dirt in 1956. This has got to be one of the weirdest places that I have ever seen. Massive statues from the old world. Could this be any more obvious that the previous civilization held technology that we are not being told about? Constructing palaces underground, constructing massive statues. And this is not in the middle of nowhere. This is a pathway leading to the palaces that are all underground. And it's all incredibly laid out and perfectly designed, with a massive event taking place that covered the entire earth with mud and melted so many structures. We've seen this so many times. These pictures are incredible, and I've got to show them to you for a minute. Based on what we know and have seen, I believe that things were much bigger. The size of this camel that is depicted right here is most likely the actual size. I believe that so many of these stone depictions that are all over the world, and we've seen them on cathedrals and basilicas. We've seen them everywhere. They're in every single country. These statues depicted in stone were actually showing all of us what the old world was seeing at the time. And we know that there were things here where we all live today that we have never seen before. And I don't believe it was from thousands of years ago. I believe all of this was from only a few hundred years ago, like we have shown and stated, with a massive reset taking place very recently, within the last few hundred years, where we now see sites, locations that are not logical within the narrative that we've all been given. All of this is done without a power tool. Let's be honest, that idea is dead. So right here, to show how these underground tunnels extend underneath all of our cities. During the construction of the Beijing section of China's south to north water diversion project, a project that began in 2002 showing how much we have yet to find underneath our feet and still being found today. By our timeline, several important relic sites were unearthed underground from the old world, where they found artifacts and a burial site that shed light on ancient Chinese civilizations. Ancient Chinese civilizations. This is the previous civilization. The excavation uncovered ancient burial sites as well as relics, including human remains. Check this out. Here's the site. And this is what has been found. So when we all began this research, so many people would ask, where did this hypothetical previous civilization go? If there was a previous civilization, show me some proof. Show me the skulls. Where are they? Well, if you've seen episode 72, episode 78, episode 92, and so many others, you will now know that they are all right under your feet. They're buried by a layer of mud in so many continents. What is under our feet and what has happened here is so much more than we have ever been told. What we see today are structures on the ground. These structures could easily be removed from this place that we all live. They are not permanent at all, especially using the materials that we use today. I hate being the one to say this, but the incredible vinyl siding that's on all of our houses today, that's not gonna last 400 years. The stone, the marble, the granite, this material was used by the old world because it's not gonna go anywhere as long as it's left alone. The old world understood that the individuals that live here in the future, us, we would see their work, their construction, because it proves just how intelligent and advanced they really were overall. Not just in construction. It would also depict what they saw at the time. So they find these bones, and then they tell us that they uncovered 12 cultural heritage sites and ancient tombs, as well as the pottery. The incredible pottery, which we all unlocked this clue a few months ago. Seeing that they give us the pottery over and over so that we all get excited. And we all think that all they did back then was make some pottery. So boring. No lights, no tools, candles, and chasing the duck around to get its feather, all so we can write something down. And once that's done, they just sit around making pottery bowls all day. And after reading that and being done with the pottery, we all go on reading about the year -206 on the dot. And we all used to think, wow, these archaeologists are amazing. They know how to pin down the year -206. They did this by testing the local bush in Beijing. This is not happening. And why is China hiding so much information? If they were just transparent, had a camera in there the whole time, allowing us to visit these sites and see what's going on, I'd have a little more trust in adult story time. But time and time again, we see that the specific details of this location, about the exact number of bodies, were not fully disclosed. How many bodies did they find? How many do you think they found? I would guess thousands, maybe more. The exact number is not fully disclosed. This is just shocking. How can we fully trust this historical narrative that we've all been given, force-fed, when it's blocked off from the public over and over? Their findings are never publicly documented. The investigation is never transparent. Yet, it's absurd to think that their story about the year -206 is the real myth. Now, to show that this is worldwide, and to show that we are just getting started with this, we will travel 4,700 miles away to the Saqqara necropolis, Egypt. A necropolis that does not have an exact confirmed count of bodies under the ground. When we are told that thousands of burials have already been uncovered, they have found pyramids, they have found underground burial shafts that have multiple levels below our feet. all done by the donkey riding, no training necessary group of the past. No, this mainstream story is done, containing hundreds of coffins and mummies within each shaft alone. In 2020, excavations uncovered more than 100 sealed wooden coffins in a single shaft, showing that there is so much more, and the excavation is just getting started worldwide, all to uncover the previous civilization that is buried below our feet. Thousands of bodies found that we're told, and they aren't even close to being done. Where it goes on to say, given the size, it is estimated that tens of thousands of individuals are buried here at this site. The exact number of individuals here at this necropolis is challenging to determine because of the site's complexity and the fact that new discoveries are still being made today. This site in Egypt is 9 miles away from the Pyramid of Giza. So knowing what we know, I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think that these bodies extend under all of this sand and possibly go underneath the Pyramid of Giza? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'll be honest, I think this is just mind-blowing information, and it is the answer to where the previous civilization is. The thousands of bodies at the necropolis in Egypt were discovered over multiple excavation periods, all starting in the 1800s. Yet again, even in Egypt. Our timeline, over and over and over. The first time that they found these bodies was in the late 1800s to early 1900s. And we know why this is. We have shown the population charts worldwide. Nobody was even here until the late 1800s. It was like a population of 14 people and their pet rock. Until, of course, episode 52 happens, and here we are today, where early excavations revealed numerous tombs. But it wasn't until 2018 that they began to open up to the public that there is more than just tombs. With most recent excavations led to remarkable discoveries, finding the 100 wooden coffins, preserved mummies, additional burial shafts discovered, hundreds of coffins, mummies, and burial artifacts, ultimately revealing a vast network of tombs from the old world, with thousands of bodies now identified, and many more yet to be uncovered. We also know that they've found technology, texts, within these multi-layered network of tunnels. It's incredible how far behind we as a population really are from the people that discovered all of this. If I'm being honest, what a clear disadvantage. A group clearly in control of finding and keeping the old world texts, their technology, and blocking it off from all of us, until of course they are ready to reveal it, revealing some of it to us in the form of a cell phone, a car, a plane, a train, a computer, cameras, things that have been here before and are slowly being given back to us. All in my opinion, of course, but I do believe there is so much more. And in the early 1800s, it was this group that found all of these structures, this technology. And I do believe that this is why the archaeologists in China that went into that necropolis, this is why they weren't able to speak afterwards. I believe that they would have revealed that there was so much more found. The amount of technology that the old world had would blow our minds today. And as far as the necropolises go, we are just catching up. We are just now finding out what they really are and what is underneath the ground in these locations. But when we get done with them, with these stories that surround these necropolises in every single continent, every country, we are going to rip these pretend stories right in half. Long considered to be an urban legend, tunnels that have now been found in 2015, the Puebla tunnels that are high enough that a person can easily ride through on horseback, extending more than 10 kilometers or 6.21 miles. And we know that there are more. all just found in 2015 under the Mexican city. Long considered to be an urban legend, a myth. These myths don't seem so mythical after all, where it states that things were found trapped in the mud flood, just like we've talked about so many times. Finding these tunnels in 2015 and then blocking them all off from the public so that the city could renovate the system and finally open it all up in 2017. What happened in that 2-year renovation project? And why did they feel the need to block the public off from these sites, from these projects? Even to this day, they are still doing this. We know that this is to protect the mainstream narrative. We know this. If the narrative was true, there would be nothing to hide. Remember when I say this: preservation, protection, conservation. We are just getting started. These episodes are in order for a reason. What if the tunnels that we have found are all hallways, all leading to so much more? The network of tunnels had been covered for decades, and the archaeologists who unearthed the tunnels discovered antiques in the mud. Is this not exactly what we've been talking about? This is incredible. A worldwide event took place. There is no doubt about it anymore. Wiping out the previous civilization, resetting us to the beginning, around the 17 and 1800s, 100%. With this previous civilization, a very advanced group of people being here where we all live today, not as far back as we all think or have been told. I believe this previous civilization was here, what we think of as the 14 and 1500s, with many Mexican cities having legends about secret tunnels all lying beneath the streets, just like we see in every single city in the world. Finding it in 2015 and now saying that they opened it in 2016. But we just saw that they said in 2017. Come on, Mexico, get your story straight. Where now they just pinned down the date of 1531, all by asking the local goat. Incredible. No, tunnels. Where else do we see tunnels? Where do these tunnels always connect to? And why? 4 separate entrances to the tunnel were found, connecting directly to the church. Tunnels connecting to the church yet again, where we are about to turn this thing up a notch. The Los Remedios Church. I'm going to stop for a second and ask you all, how long do you think that this took them to build? How many years do you think that it took them to build this thing? This is the inside of the church that is connected to the tunnel that they just found in 2015. How long do you think this took to build? How long would it take us to build today? You know what? Let's ask their AI, ChatGPT, how long this would take to construct today. It would depend on several factors, and here is the estimate. According to the AI, using advanced construction methods today, it would take 2 to 5 years to construct the exterior of the dome structure. It would take an additional 2 to 3 years to complete the detailed, intricate interior design. So 4 to 8 years total, with modern advanced construction methods. But if we use traditional methods, using the tools that they had at the time, it would take us, the supposed evolved and advanced group with training and everything, 10 to 15 years or more to complete this church. This structure was constructed from 1574 to 1575, 1 year. And according to the ChatGPT, this is impressive, but not unheard of. And then tells us that this is a smaller, simpler church during that time. This is crazy. Again, May of 1574 to August 1575, it's done. And we also know that the tunnels connect to the lower levels of this structure. They tell us that this church was constructed in 1575. Let's pretend that this is true for 1 second. and the tunnels were constructed in 1531. This means that once again, the church was constructed on top of the tunnels. How much do you want to bet that these tunnels are actually catacombs? I believe that we have a very clear understanding of how these catacombs work. We have episode 72. We have episode 78 and episode 92, all for reference. They connect to the churches. We've seen where they connect to schools, as well as Capitol buildings. We have seen this so many times, in so many different countries, including episode 85. And did I mention that the base on which the church is built is one of the largest pyramids of the old world? The pyramid is under this church, meaning that there is so much more under the ground in this location. The pyramid is 177 feet high, covering 54 acres, and shaped by several superimposed structures. This is incredible. The old world was extremely powerful, and their construction is still here, all over the world. This pyramid is under the church, and it's larger in volume than the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt. This is the Great Pyramid of Cholula. This is the largest pyramid by volume in the entire world that we've found so far underneath the dirt. And if you're having fun so far, please subscribe and hit that like button. Now let's keep going. Under the grass and trees, right here, we have the biggest pyramid in the world, as well as a tunnel network. And the church on top of it was built in a year. This research is unbelievable and needs to be shown to the world with an incredible picture right here, showing just how big this thing really is. Could you even imagine if they took this layer of grass off this thing, what that would expose? And I believe that we have just tripped up the mainstream narrative. We have exposed that this is a lie. Are you ready? Remember, we are told that the tunnels were constructed before the church. We know that the tunnels connect to the church, meaning that the builders of the church were well aware of what was underneath the church from the beginning of its construction, all according to the story that they're telling us. And now they are telling all of us that the Spanish didn't realize that there was a pyramid under the grass when they built the church on top, where we all know that this couldn't be further from the truth, telling us that they just found this pyramid in 1910, where workers uncovered some of the pyramid's ancient structures. A fabricated narrative, 100%. We have now exposed this forever. A massive lie to all of us. This 1910 date was the date that our civilization found the old world pyramid. Everything before this date, the narrative that we are told about this site, is pure fiction. We have been lied to in every single country. These stories are just that. They are stories for adults. We all know that lies fall apart in a second, and they always will. In the early 1930s, knowledge about the Great Pyramid was scarce. Exploration began in 1931, our timeline, and after 25 years, they located the 8 kilometers of tunnels and then excavated them, which ultimately enabled the discovery of the 7 superimposed pyramids. This structure was not constructed in 1 year in the 1500s. These tunnels extend so much further than what we're being told. And all of this is being discovered in our timeline today. Within the last 200 to 300 years, what we are doing right now is showing this to the public. The finders have been finding these structures, these sites, for the last 200 to 300 years, and then giving us these stupid stories, this narrative that a child would never believe after laying it all out. Now, before we expose the necropolis in Turkey, I want to say a few more things about this pyramid in Mexico. Why haven't they removed the grass from this thing? Why is it still covered up to this day? Why is this thing still covered up with grass? We are told that they leave the grass on the biggest pyramid in the world due to preservation And I want you to remember this for next week. Preservation, telling us that the grass and the plants all help protect the pyramid. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's a joke. Taking the grass off and exposing it to the world could destabilize it. This is insane. And the grass that you can all see in your yard or at a park, this is the reason, the grass, that it attracts visitors worldwide. Keeping the grassy appearance preserves the historic character of the site. No, it does not. Can you see clearer than ever before? Can you see what's happening? Can you see what's happened for so long? This isn't the Monk's Mound in southern Illinois, where we all know that there's a temple under the grass, but they aren't fully admitting it yet. This is completely different. We all know that the biggest pyramid in the world is right under the grass. We know that there's a tunnel network right under here. And we know that they connect to this church. Yet they leave the grass all for protection. Protection. Again, we are just getting started. Now, I think that this location in Myra might be the most unbelievable thing that I've actually seen. I can't even imagine going to this location and seeing it in person. This is so obviously a melted palace, now giving off the appearance of being a mountain that the people of the 4th century BCE were just over there in Turkey carving palaces directly into the rock cliff. They had their chisels ready to go. Where this practice had been going on even earlier, around the 5th century BCE, all of this was figured out by Sir Charles Fellows. When in the 1840s, our timeline yet again, Fellows was just right over here at this point, and he climbed up this cliff, and then he smacked his head so hard in the 1840s and just came up with the date -400. Tell me how odd it is that Fellows can just wake up one day in the 1840s. He can go over to this site and then pin down the date -400. This story is so ridiculous. Nobody's doing that in the 1840s. This story should be dismissed at this point, 100%. Now, this site reminds me so much of Syria. They have a ton of similarities, as if they went to the same school of Donkey's Stone Palace Construction University, all established in the year -904. I promise that happened. In all seriousness, look at the bottom of this so-called mountain. It literally has massive stone blocks, and as you go up, they are literally melted. Look at this. Seating 13,000 people, a necropolis, where we all know what a necropolis is at this point. A cemetery, especially a large one, belonging to an ancient city. This is a cemetery, a necropolis. We are not allowed to walk around the rock tombs, where I bet you can go deeper inside, which is exactly why they're not allowing us to enter them. I bet that it would expose that this is no random hill. Just like we saw in Mexico, I bet the pyramid is incredible and has so much more going on inside of it. It's not just a few tunnel hallways. We know this. They lead to so much more. Turkey has some incredible places, like we've shown. So traveler Charles Fellow finds all of this in the 1840s, where they are still colorfully painted, red, yellow, and blue. What else did he find? Because we can see, within the last 200 years, all of the color is gone. Yet we are told that it was still colorful in the 1840s. We are also told that they were constructed in the -400s. So for 2,240 years, the color lasts perfectly. And then 200 years, all of the color is gone. How does this make sense at all? It doesn't. Where the exact number of bodies in this necropolis is unknown, because many of the tombs since the 1840s have been damaged, looted, and left unexplored over the centuries, estimating that the amount is likely in the hundreds. What was destroyed here? What has been removed? And what is still here that is off limits to the public? All of us. In 2009, Archaeologists detected an ancient city using ground-penetrating radar that reveals anomalies. They found buildings, and we all know they found so much more. Finding buried structures, yet again, just like we saw in Chicago in episode 80, finding a chapel from the old world, the previous civilization, identifying hidden structures, incredible detail, all from a supposed pathetic community. And all of our mainstream lovers, they want to tell us all about the earthquake from the year 141. And this earthquake just destroyed the theater. Who believes this anymore? It's crazy. Just pinning down the date 141, saying that there was an earthquake, and yeah, that's the earthquake that destroyed the theater. This is ridiculous. It's so insane to believe at this point. Take a look at this picture. Look at these two things over here on the right. How naturally forming does this look to you? Without a doubt, one of the most incredible places that I've ever seen. I wish that I could go inside and see how far into this so-called mountain it really goes. I also wish that I could remove the grass on top of that pyramid in Mexico. I wish we could go in the tunnels under the church. I wish that we could see it all. The fact that we are blocked off, the fact that it is hidden from us, this is the clear giveaway. This exposes that the mainstream narrative is not transparent at all. Their restoration work is hidden from all of us. Time and time again, we are all blocked off from the truth. And I believe that gives it all away. Do not forget what I just said. And don't forget all of the times that we have seen that something is off limits to us, all due to preservation, conservation, and to protect an old world site. A necropolis is a cemetery, especially a large one, belonging to an ancient city, the old world. Where did this previous civilization go? I believe that we are unlocking this today. We see that the Vatican necropolis, Rome, can be found between 5 and 12 meters below the St. Peter's Basilica, an underground burial site, especially a large one. The necropolis. What have we just unlocked on this channel? What are we showing to the world? The St. Peter's Basilica is a palace from the old world. This is the location that holds a necropolis 5 to 12 meters below its floors. This palace's construction, beginning in 1506, a civilization that we have shown, according to the mainstream narrative, were struggling to just find food. There was no Walmart, and they had dirt roads, all while wiping with their hands in the front yard and sleeping in sheds. This community just had some spare time to do some pottery and build a palace. This history lesson that we've all been told is complete nonsense at this point. The narrative is leaving out something massive, a very powerful, extremely advanced, worldwide population that was here before us. A group that was not suffering in winters. This group was obviously way more advanced than we are today. We all know this, with so much going on below the St. Peter's Basilica. Could you imagine really going down there and seeing what's actually underneath the floors and not just what's written about it? Telling us that the original St. Peter's Basilica was built in 7 years, in the year 326 to 333. Pinning these dates down on the dot. This is 1,698 years ago. Again, on the dot. And we all know that this palace, the one that's here today, is 100% the original. There were not other basilicas here in this spot. Now saying that the basilica was built on top of the necropolis, exactly like we've seen with the catacombs, where the catacombs and the necropolises aren't looking so different after all. Both being built on top of the old world civilization that's buried below our feet. Why is this the location that you would want to build a church? Do you really want to build a church on top of millions of bones? Why is this a good place to worship? Is it because it's acceptable in society? So much so that we all buy tickets to go see them. But if Walmart or Kentucky Fried Chicken decided that they are going to do this over and over, even if they decided to build their place on top of a cemetery, a very small one, we would all find that very odd. But as long as a church does it, everything's okay. Can you see very clearly now? Do you think that we would all go to this Kentucky Fried Chicken? Would we all say, yeah, that's okay, Walmart, go ahead? Do you think that this is an operation? Do you think that it's a great way to hide the fact that these bones belong to the hidden past? I do believe so. Containing the tombs of many popes and might contain the bones of St. Peter. Is St. Peter and all of these other characters mentioned that we've seen in the past, these individuals, are these powerful characters from the old world? And what else is down there that we just aren't being told about? Do they actually know where these characters are really located? Have they found the old world technology that I believe is buried with these individuals? Texts that explain so much more about this world that we all live in. What is the motive to keep this information a secret? These so-called myths, we have proven so many times that they turn out to be real. We just showed this in Mexico in episode 106, part 2 of this series, Under the Necropolis, where the legends became fact. Secret tunnels, all connecting to the biggest pyramid in the world that's buried under grass. This is part 3 of this series, and I have been waiting a very long time to show this site. We had to walk through so many different locations and get a full understanding of this topic before exposing this today, because I believe that this would have shocked people in the beginning. And if you're just joining along today with this episode, I personally suggest watching the first 107 episodes, because here we go. The Vatican Necropolis, located beneath the St. Peter's Basilica, is a burial ground where it is estimated to hold thousands of remains. And before we go any further, did you know that the St. Peter's Basilica was sitting on top of thousands of remains before this research? Were you aware that the old world is under so many palaces? Did you know that they hid them? With words like catacombs and necropolises, these are keywords, unlocking it all. And do you think it's just thousands? With the first excavations taking place once again in our timeline in the 1940s. We have seen this every single time. Nobody's excavating anything in 1492. Never in 1680. It is repeatedly after 1800. This 1940s excavation uncovered dozens of tombs, mausoleums, and ossuaries, or in other words, containers for bones. Lots of people, thousands of burials, and I want to clarify, we all know that there is more. Just discovering all of this in 1939. It hasn't even been 100 years yet, where workers stumbled upon the necropolis. Our civilization is the finders, just stumbling upon this stuff for the last 200 to 300 years. This was all constructed before we all got here, and I want to make that clear. It is being repurposed, reused, and explained away with ridiculous stories for adults. Finding it in 1939, and then pinning down the date of 326. This is not sounding logical anymore, is it? This necropolis covers 53,800 square feet, a burial network, all below the current floor of the St. Peter's Basilica, Rome. Over and over we see this, and we have seen so many times that these are so much bigger than we are told. And you might say, why do you keep suggesting that there's more? They're telling us the truth, and I know this because they told me so. Well, yes, people are allowed to visit the Vatican necropolis, but access is highly restricted and controlled. Restricted and controlled. What? Yes, there are areas within the Vatican necropolis that are off limits to the public. Even during the guided tour, many tombs are preserved and inaccessible to protect the mainstream narrative. Preserving the narrative. We have shown this. Reserving other sections only for archaeologists and preservationists. Who are these people? A group called preservationists. Is this a group we need to look into? Let me know in the comments. Considering what we know about preserving and protecting now, I'm going to take a wild guess, but I would say that this is something that we have planned for the future. And because some parts of the necropolis are highly sacred, you know, the good stuff, the things that would advance our knowledge on this topic, things that everybody should know, things that everybody should be able to see, our access is restricted over and over, and they only allow the clergy, researchers, or Vatican officials in there. Now, what kind of researchers are allowed to see this? Are we not also researchers? You would need to submit a formal request contacting the Vatican office for archaeological studies, explaining your research purpose. Do you think we have a chance? We would also need to provide documentation, proof of our affiliation with an academic or research institution. In other words, do we work for the mainstream narrative? And then we have to await approval to make sure our research aligns with their interests. Do we align with the mainstream narrative? Do you think we align with their interests? Are you having fun? Do you enjoy the truth? Please hit that like button and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. This information is now being brought to the public every single Saturday because of all of you. Beyond the known burial sites of what the public can see, there are tales of unmarked or hidden tombs said to contain the remains of individuals whose identities were deliberately erased from history. What do you know? Erasing the narrative, not giving us the truth. Yet we are supposed to trust this group, and we're crazy if we don't. No. Hiding relics and artifacts within the necropolis, suggesting these items were deliberately hidden to protect the church, all according to them. And again, we're told that artifacts that challenge established church teachings or provoke debate may be withheld to avoid confusion or controversy. Hiding artifacts that they found to avoid controversy. How is this allowed? How is this even close to allowed? And why in the world, after hearing this and seeing it, would one person ever believe a story that is deliberately withholding artifacts, information that would spark a debate? At this moment, every single person should have open eyes. Every single one of us should be able to see that the narrative that we have all been force-fed is flawed. It is molded to support a narrative that hides the truth. It hides what really happened here, where we all live. What artifacts were found that would cause confusion or controversy? These are the artifacts that we should all be able to see today. This is incredible. The Vatican is also home to the Vatican Apostolic Library, housing over 1.1 million books and 75,000 manuscripts. Who can access this? All of us? Of course not. No, we cannot. It is not open to the general public. Only scholars, researchers, and qualified individuals with legitimate research purposes, these are the people that are granted access. Are you still on the fence? Do you still trust what you've been told? Me and you are not granted access, and me and you need special permission to see the true history, the true past about this place that we all live. And this is no longer a debate. The story that we are all given is fabricated. It's all controlled, and we have now 100% proven this. The only way for the narrative to be trusted is for it to be fully transparent, and we all know that that's not going to happen. Often confused with the library that we just talked about, The Vatican Apostolic Archives is a separate entity and holds historical documents. Again, I've been waiting to release this for a reason, and I think that we all know why. So let's go deeper. The Vatican Secret Archives, which has been renamed to the Vatican Apostolic Archives, are a highly secure and restricted collection of historical documents housed in the Vatican. All of this is on top of the necropolis that is also blocked off from all of us. So what is inside? 53 miles of shelving, 53 miles of old world texts with so many records still undisclosed, where only approved scholars and researchers with specific projects are allowed entry. And even then, access is limited to certain materials. The public cannot view these archives, which fuels theories about potential hidden artifacts or relics. Are we right or are we right? 53 miles of old world items and texts, all contained within its underground vaults and rooms beneath the Vatican City. Remember, this is all public information. The public just didn't care. Until now, spread across numerous chambers and passageways. Can you even imagine what is below our feet? Could you imagine seeing this? Can you imagine what is in there? What books does this place have that would cause a debate and challenge their mainstream narrative? Why is it all blocked off from all of us? It's incredible that we all live here, yet we aren't allowed to see what they have found. Why is this? Why is one person born with the authority to tell everybody else, you aren't allowed to see the truth, and I am? At this point moving forward, the mainstream narrative will never be trusted at all, until of course these 53 miles of books and artifacts are open to the public. We should all be able to see what is in there. In 1881, our timeline yet again, Pope Leo XIII allowed limited access to scholars for the first time, where I believe that this is flipped. I believe this was the point, that they actually acknowledged that it was there and officially blocked it off from the public. I want to make this clear. I am always open to changing my mind if brand new evidence presents itself. I'm not set in my ways of thinking. If one day the Vatican said, come on down and read all of our books, it all proves that we aren't lying, then I would definitely be open to that. But I think we all know that isn't going to happen. The 53 miles of books is blocked off for a reason. By admitting the books are there, yet still blocking us off from them, the church has positioned itself as the protector of the mainstream narrative. Is this the group that is producing the Book of Lies, the protectors of the narrative? They wanted to take on this role in the 1800s. I believe it's the time to reveal the truth. These lies might have been really cool in 1881. This might have been the cool thing to do back then. Times have changed. It's now 2025. We all know that there's 53 miles of books underground. We all know there are places that are blocked off from the public that would show a much more incredible past than what we have all been lied to about, the truth. If I were this group, I would flip the script. I would begin to show the truth. I would expose the truth. Exposing the truth is so much more fun than telling a lie. I personally believe at this point, there are markers, such as the date of 1612, that symbolize the beginning of our current timeline, the whole process of setting up our civilization. Anything before this date is complete fairy tale in my opinion, where the first century, the church had already acquired and begun to assemble a sizable collection of records, where they needed it for administrative work. And this resulted in loss of items. This is nonsense in my opinion. It's made up. In 1612, they tell us that they assembled a place to put the records. I don't believe that they constructed anything. I think this is the point in which they found all of the books from the old world, all underground, within this network under our feet. Or then they just skip right to the 1800s, when things actually started to happen in our timeline. Before this, the place was empty, and we have shown this. So of course there's nothing to talk about in 1710, because nobody's here. Scholars must know what they are looking for in advance. Access is granted only to specific files or documents based on their research topic. So even if you're on Team Mainstream Story Hour, Team Hammers and Chisels, and Donkeys Incorporated, which I do like Donkeys Incorporated, but if you're on the side of Hammers and Chisels, you can't just go down there and search through the catalog of old world books. You have to know exactly what you're looking for, and they'll go down there and get it for you. If you are approved, of course, where researchers must apply and justify their need to access certain materials. Nothing like being transparent. For those that think, oh, they wouldn't lie to us, they probably don't have any books down there that would change my mind. I believe that it's time to reconsider. There's clearly so much hiding going on. Some sections of the archives remain off limits to everybody. So let's just be honest at this point. There is information in here that would expose that these historians worldwide are completely wasting their time studying and then regurgitating all the nonsense. This so-called profession is as good as reading Tinkerbell to the kids. And honestly, Tinkerbell, it might be more truthful at this point. Can you believe what we've found in the first 108 episodes? Can you believe the amount of information that has just been sitting here in front of us, waiting for all of us to see it? This is a game, in my opinion. It's so clearly obvious that there are clues, hidden keys, and connections that I believe has all been laid out for someone to find it and connect it all and then show it to the world. There are so many sites in every continent that hold the same exact keys. All of the old world sites are filtered through the same point, in my opinion. They are written by the same source, and the source controls exactly what is allowed to be exposed. We have exposed this. The necropolis underneath this place, the library underground. These things are not the only things under this city. It is a massive network of underground tunnels, structures, and we all know this, especially when we are all told that the Vatican Apostolic Archives are believed to be connected underground with other parts of the Vatican City. The archives are connected to other parts of the city? This is what we're told. This is unbelievable. These connections include the St. Peter's Basilica, the Vatican museums, allowing for the secure transport of documents or artifacts. And then we are told that many administrative and religious buildings within Vatican City are interconnected through underground tunnels and pathways, facilitating discreet movement and secure communication. Also connecting to private vaults. There are underground vaults and repositories where sensitive documents, artifacts, and relics from the old world, this is where they are stored. Let me know in the comments, will you ever look at this location the same ever again? Can you believe what we have found? All beneath our feet. Like I always say, once you know, you will never go back to not knowing. This is worldwide. This is in every city, every country, and there is so much information that we are not being told. So many places that would be incredible to show the world. If there was a group out there that decided that it was time to change and expose the truth to the whole world, it would be incredible. But for now, we are here today. We know that these places, this information about our true past, is being deliberately hidden from us, and we know that it's there, and we are not allowed to see it, and I'm not sure that we ever will. But what I do know is that we are exposing these facts to the world. We are showing that this is all taking place, and has been for so long. and we are exposing the patterns, the dates, the keys. And as we continue to go further, more and more and more people will have open eyes, and we will all be able to see that what we are being told is not the truth. We will all have a much deeper understanding of this place that we all live. And when we visit these places, we will all know that a donkey-riding cowboy, this guy didn't build it in a week, with no training and no power tools. I believe the more people that see this information, the less people are going to go into History 101 and take that up as their future profession. As we grow, the kids in the class will easily be able to expose the nonsense in real time in the classrooms, because the lie is so ridiculous. A lie has so many flaws, and we are growing for a reason. The truth is so powerful, and it's fun and exciting. Where the Vatican necropolis was used for a very long time, probably 2,000 years ago, maybe, profiting again off of this burial site. We saw this in New York as well in episode 77. Remember, we were told that this location is connected to the Vatican museums. Right over here to the right, zooming way out. Here is the museums, and here is the Vatican. Can you even imagine what is going on under the ground here? If you were able to remove the layer of ground right here and see what's underneath it, I think that it would change everything. Right here in this location alone, I believe that this area would change the world in a second, if all you did was just expose what's underneath it. Now let's zoom back here. How many of you think that this building is connected to the Palace of Justice? Take a look at this for a second. Knowing what we know about this area, who really thinks that this palace was built between 1888 and 1910 and needed a restoration project in 1970? A restoration project that just randomly leads to excavations and unearthing several archaeological finds, including sarcophagi skeletons. When we all already know that there is a necropolis right here in this location. The whole thing was filled with the old world. They didn't find any of this in 1888 when they supposedly built the palace? Come on. This is how a lie is exposed in a second. We all know that they would have found this necropolis in 1888, not 1970 during a restoration project. This is backwards. The old world is under the entire location here, in my opinion, finding bones all over the place. And we know that it wasn't just one person. We all know this. What an incredible location for our research, with so much not being shown to us today, with an admission that some artifacts from the old world remain, but so many were destroyed. And I don't believe that they destroyed them. I believe that they have them. I believe these old world items are very much alive and well, and are being taken great care of. You wouldn't destroy the incredible technology of the past. You would keep it, and then you would say it's destroyed, and you would use it, and then you would sell it back to the public whenever the time is right, and you would control the narrative. You would say that you created it, and this is exactly what you would do. I believe that this is what has been done. Cyprus, the tombs of the kings, all carved out of solid rock, we are told, and are thought to be a burial site. Discovered in 1783 for the very first time, and having its first archaeological excavation in 1870. Our timeline yet again, where we see this over and over, all over the world, where this is not just tombs of the kings. This is a large necropolis, designated as a UNESCO site. This is incredible what we just found. A large necropolis from the old world. A necropolis is a cemetery, especially a large one, belonging to an ancient city, the old world. The previous civilization. Where did this previous civilization go is the question that was asked by so many times until now. We have seen the thousands of miles of catacombs. We know all about the necropolises. But now, we are fully exposing these sites to the world. We are showing the locations and exactly where the extremely advanced previous civilization that was here only a few hundred years ago, where they actually went. Based on the countless hours of research and exposure, we can come to a solid conclusion that they are right underneath our feet. And they've been there all of our lives. They conducted the first archaeological excavation in 1870. So before this date, nobody had any idea that this place was even here, besides a modern account written by Richard Pacoque in 1783. And if we're all just being honest at this point, most everything written before 1800, realistically, all could have been just written last night. So they were finally conducting an excavation in 1870, and the wizards of the 1870s were over in the corner testing the local weed. A weed that just started growing last week. And then they pinned down the date of -400. This is over 2,000 years ago. Guys, I think this is a 2nd century BC site. No. How could you even suggest that? Have you not seen the weed over there? This is a 4th century site, 100%. And that weed growing through the cracks, it confirms this. And remember, this is off in the middle of the ocean. And then we go back to dirt roads. We have cowboys and Indians, no electricity, outhouses, and presidents being born in sheds. Sound about right? Yeah, I agree. Not at all. And then we're told that it is reported that much of the information related to the tombs was lost over time, just losing all of the information about the tombs. We know that they know exactly what this place is. We know that the truth about this site is not being told to us today, because it goes on to state that many of the tombs were rich in expensive goods, the old world technology, the old world items, 100%. We have seen this so many times. We understand how this works. Telling all of us the grave robbers of the past were responsible. The grave robbers of the past. Come on. This is a children's story for adults. It's ridiculous and it's not the truth. And since it was next to the sea, the buried bodies were not able to be preserved. And how much do you all want to bet that the bodies were removed and then just found their way over into the ocean? This is incredible. The way that they just brushed these things off, that there were buried bodies at this location, and then they're all next to the sea, so they're just gone. Where it is widely believed that hundreds, if not thousands of bodies were buried at the complex, at this site. Thousands of bodies from the old world in the middle of the ocean. So many things would be exposed if this place was left for all of us to see. But in the 1800s, we all know that the excavations were actually destruction projects, exactly like the restoration projects, to remove any evidence of an advanced previous civilization. And while doing this, stealing all of their items, the old world technology, or as they like to say, their goods. And then just blame all of it on the looters of the past, with thousands of bodies once being there. And today, there may be a few dozen individuals left, if any, stating that most of the intact burials and grave goods have been removed or disturbed over the years. And to prove that this is all going on under the ground, and it's not just in one location here, it covers so much more than what we're being told. Right next to this site, we also have catacombs. Right next to it, we have catacombs and necropolises all over Cyprus. And then you have people living right on top of them, with another necropolis right over here, the Western Necropolis. And then we have another necropolis down here. And we all know that they are all connected. These catacombs, right next to the tombs of the kings in Cyprus, are now repurposed as a Christian place of worship. This is so odd. Since we've seen all the churches consistently being built on top of the catacombs all over the world, it is such a strange place to worship. And now we know that this is all connected when we are told that these catacombs were originally used as a necropolis and housed many burials in the past with the looters. In my opinion, the looters are the mainstream narrative, removing all of the individuals and their goods of the old world, or just lost to time, as they say. Incredible. Withholding information from us yet again, blocking off the public from the site, and then not giving us the mapping and just how big the network of tunnels really are. And we all know why this is. The network of catacombs would show that they connect to the other sites, the other necropolises. It would show that these are not just one little site over here and then one small site over there. It would expose that these are all interconnected, and it is one massive necropolis, a burial site, especially a large one. And this is now exposed, whether they want to show it to us or not. We all know that it's there, and we are not going to go back to not knowing. We are only going to expose it more and more all over the world. Cyprus is unbelievable when it comes to researching the old world, where Cyprus has approximately 20 to 30 documented necropolises and catacombs across the island. Cyprus is one massive burial site. And then we see, even on the other side of Cyprus, 90 miles away from the tombs of the kings, we have the Salamis necropolis, and it is time to go deeper. Are you ready? A necropolis, the old world, spanning 2 miles and contains thousands of tombs that we are being told about. A necropolis, the old world. Did you ever expect this research to actually find the old world civilization? How many of us were taught about the necropolises, the catacombs? Why are these not being shown to people in the education systems? And why are they excavated in the 1800s and never before this? And why are they left empty today? And why do we see so many times to this day that the truth is being blocked off from all of us? Access denied to the public, you and me. And it's over and over. Every single time there's a site that would expose that we are being lied to about the history. This site is either destroyed or blocked off from all of us. Episode 107. If you haven't seen it yet, that is one that you need to go see next after this. Protecting their narrative, conserving it, preserving it. They are not preserving what they have found. They are hiding it from all of us to preserve their narrative, to protect it. Where we are told that parts of the Salamis necropolis are restricted or inaccessible to the public. All due to preservation yet again. Ongoing excavations. Why would all of us be blocked off from the excavations? Do you know how much a camera is? Set it up and let us watch. Is the camera going to destroy the old world's work? Do they have to preserve it from the camera? I've never heard of a camera that goes over there and destroys a stone block. Maybe I'm wrong, and if I am, please correct me, but I know I'm not. Why is this acceptable? They also tell us that certain areas of the necropolis have yet to be fully explored or excavated, sealed off so they can loot. Oh wait, no. I mean to prevent us from looting. Sealed off until the experts properly study everything. Studying these things before we ever get to see them. I think we can all see so much clearer now, and I think the mainstream narrative has some serious explaining to do. What do you think? I believe that it's time to change the way the experts work. It needs to be fully transparent to all of us, from start to finish. And if they don't do this, then their made-up story is null and void. This is one part of the largest burial sites of the old world. If you're enjoying this episode, please hit that like button and subscribe. And to show it's the same group on this side of the island that removed the bodies from the other necropolis, the tombs of the kings, which I believe are actually the same necropolis, but to show it was the same group that removed the bodies and to expose them forever. As much of the site has been excavated and many remains have been removed for study. Are you still on the fence? Removed for study, preservation, preserving their narrative, or to put them in a museum? How is this allowed at all? This isn't preserving anything. This is destruction of the past 100%. Most of the original remains are no longer present due to looting yet again. Excavations. Archaeologists have removed significant numbers of remains. Can you even believe this? Currently, the number of bodies remaining in the necropolis is very minimal, where it used to be thousands, and we know this, if not tens of thousands. Tens of thousands of burials that were originally here and are now gone due to studying. Can you believe this? This necropolis was excavated beginning in the 1950s and unearthed the tombs. The pottery, of course. Can you believe the things we are told over and over, all over the world? It's the same story. And if you've watched every episode to this point, you'll know exactly why. The pottery excuse is yet another keyword, a repeating pattern that we exposed a few months ago. And since finding it, it's just become clearer and clearer that the pottery is just a front for what they really found. Following the Turkish invasion of Cyprus in 1974, access to the Salamis necropolis fell under the control of the unrecognized Turkish Republic of Northern Cyprus, allowing for more looting. This is a great way to allow those groups to just go in there undocumented and remove all of the old world items, with artifacts being smuggled out of the area during and after the conflict. And I just find it really odd that this group is consistently interested in our favorite sites, all of the sites that would expose the old world. And every single one of these sites have been looted or destroyed. So they're not doing a very good job of protecting them. And then they also block these sites off to the public. So they obviously make me wonder. And if you've seen episode 97 and 98, the Ball Cycle Part 1 and Part 2, which is in Syria, you will understand how incredible this entire area really is. Cyprus and all of these necropolises in the middle of the sea are right off the coast of Syria, next to Lebanon and Damascus, right next to Palmyra, where we have located the Temple of Baal, only 62 miles from each other. These are all places that nobody was teaching us in History 101, 102, or any other number they want to come up with, all by design. This is the true history that we are exposing, sites that give away the previous civilization. It shows that the mainstream narrative is ridiculous. A massive event took place. It wiped out the previous civilization, and there was a reset that took place, resetting all of us back to donkeys and wagons, living by candlelight and thinking that we are the most advanced civilization to ever be here. When I can't even buy a toaster that works for a year. The true history is that the old world was here. They were incredible, and they knew how to construct palaces all over the world, and so much more. We all know this at this point, that their technology to construct palaces was just the beginning of their knowledge. Their construction is the only thing that stood the test of time, to expose that they were actually here, and that the timeline that we are told of humans starting off as fish, and then on Tuesday they turned into a monkey, and then 3 years later they turned into a gorilla, and here we are today. This is nonsense. We are as advanced as we're allowed to be, and this is the way it is. The technology has been here, it's always been here, and I believe we are being given back this incredible technology that was found, or in their words, looted, and now sold back to us systematically. Releasing episode 97 on October 26th, 2024, and episode 98 on November 2nd, 2024. And then 1 month later in December of 2024, Syria experienced significant military activity, with airstrikes coming from this country, launching over 350 airstrikes, this country, also taking military action, conducting strikes in Syria. I'm simply reporting what's going on as we see it. 1 month after our Syria episodes, this all happens. It's very interesting to say the least. And like I always say, we are just getting started. Our knowledge is growing on this subject. The amount of people that are joining the team is also growing. Our community is growing faster and faster. People want to know the truth now more than ever. Where you see the same thing in Palmyra with the Palmyra Necropolis, where it is famous for its elaborate tombs, including tower tombs, the hypogeum, of course, like we have shown, and housed tombs with many of the tombs looted yet again, damaged again, especially in our timeline during recent conflicts. Do you see the trend yet? It is estimated that thousands of individuals from the old world were originally buried here. Thousands, yet again. And I don't believe it's as far back as everybody thought. It's not as far back as you've been told. A necropolis is a cemetery, especially a large one, belonging to an ancient city, the old world. Where did this previous, incredibly advanced civilization go? Right below our feet. The dead cities. Are you ready to take this knowledge further than before? It's time to go back into Syria, a location that has been strategically kept out of our textbooks, with this location proving without a doubt that there was a powerful previous civilization right here, where we all are today, and it's time to expose this forever. The dead cities of Syria are a collection of over 700 abandoned settlements from the old world. We are told that archaeologists finally became interested in this location and began studying this site in our timeline yet again. And never before this, all beginning in the early 20th century. This is the 1900s, with extensive research in the 1930s and 1940s. All of this happening within the last 100 years. And then out of nowhere, George wakes up one day. He falls out of bed and thinks that these stone structures all date back to the 1st and 7th centuries. I'm so thankful that he fell out of bed that day, or else we would never know this. And we all just accepted this for so long. Until now, where we are all able to see the truth. We are all able to see so clearly. And we all understand that pinning down dates from 2,000 years ago is ridiculous. And they're all able to pin these dates down by testing the local bush near the site. This is what we are told. A bush that's only been there for 10 years. Again, we've shown this in great detail. It's insane. This site has supposedly been here since the 1st century. And then here comes this group yet again in 2011. The dead cities were inscribed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And then 2 years later, this site was added to the list of World Heritage in danger. What are the odds of that? You tell me. We are told that in the 1800s, humans were suffering in sheds. Abe Lincoln, one of the United States presidents, was being born in a cardboard box with porta potties in the front yard, and they were wiping with their hands. They had no lights, they had dirt roads. And at the same time, we are all told that we are evolving and we are advancing like never before, where we are told, despite being deserted for over 1,000 years, many structures, including churches, dwellings, and bathhouses, all remain remarkably well preserved, offering invaluable insights to the old world. 1,000 years untouched, and we are evolving and advancing. Could you even imagine leaving our construction untouched for 1,000 years? Could you imagine the people of 3025 just seeing our construction? No. They never would. All of our vinyl siding would be blown off into the wind. Nobody's house is going to be standing in 1,000 years the way that they build them today. We all know this, but I guarantee you that the old world's work will still be here. Unless, of course, the mainstream history comes along. Oh no, sorry. I mean the looters. If you've seen the first 110 episodes to this point, we all know about the looters. And if you're new, I'm going to show you what we're talking about, where it is plausible that this location, this necropolis in Syria, had tens of thousands to potentially over 100,000 individuals buried across the dead cities in Syria. And we know that this extends so much further underground than just this one location. Just like we showed in our last episode, episode 110, we are exposing this entire area between Syria and Cyprus, locations that are no longer just hiding in the shadows. We have shown now just how many necropolises are here today that we're not being told about. So now it's my turn to ask, where did this previous civilization go? Are you standing on them? With the current status stating that many of the tombs, the burial chambers of the old world, have of course been looted. This makes it difficult to pinpoint exactly how many bodies were once present versus how many are still there today. You know what else makes it really hard to pinpoint how many are still there? The mainstream history, the archaeologists, and this group that controls the narrative, where of course parts of the dead cities in Syria are off limits to the public due to preservation, yet again preserving their narrative, their story, hiding the true past from all of us so many times in so many locations. So of course we don't know what happened here. We have unlocked so many sites now. We have unlocked so many keys. We are exposing it all because we know exactly what to look for. As soon as the evidence is off limits to the public, their story is now null and void. Hiding evidence exposes that they are lying. If you're telling the truth, just show the people what's going on. But time and time again, we are being blocked off from the truth. And again, it's no wonder so many of us have no idea what we're doing here. So many people have slipped right into the lie because the mainstream history is molded to fit the lie. And then so many people will fight endlessly to protect this lie. We are deliberately blocked off from the truth. And this entire community can see this so clearly now. And you will never go back. So let's go deeper. This looting wasn't in the 1200s and it's not in the 1400s. This looting took place in the 1900s when archaeological interest in the dead cities increased. But many of the excavations were poorly regulated. Poorly regulated? Are you kidding me? This was on purpose. So all they have to do is say they're poorly regulated, and this makes it okay for the looters. And we'll never get a name for any of these looters. They know all about the 400s, but they have no idea who looted something in the 1900s. Can we all see this very clearly now? This allowed the old world artifacts and remains to be removed, hidden from all of us. Oh no, and don't take the pottery. Oh, I just wanted to see all those cups. Yet again, they give us the pottery because the people were just building stone palace cities 2,000 years ago and then just took a break to make some pottery, making teacups on Tuesdays and vases on Thursdays. This is all documented, all by Donkeys Incorporated. This is insane. And then with the Syrian civil war, they were just so mad at each other that they needed to go damage the stone structures. And do you remember when we went to the Cahokia Mounds? Do you remember that we found a temple that is 2 feet below the dirt? Did you know that the Cahokia Mounds, located in southern Illinois, USA, are actually burial mounds and contain human remains? In clip 22, we exposed this southern Illinois area for what it is, exposing that it holds a much different history than what we've all been told. And at that time, we had not yet explored the necropolises, for obvious reasons. Today, there is no holding back. It's time to go deeper. Ready or not, here we go. At the Cahokia Mounds, which we know is a temple, And we also know that it's bigger at its base than the Great Pyramid of Giza, beating it by an acre. This is all in Illinois, right in the USA. At this location, hundreds of human burials were uncovered. A densely packed burial site, being Mound 72. The mound contains evidence of mass burials, where 53 of them were believed to have been this word, with other instances of individuals being ritually this word, all according to the narrative that we are being told, where we can only guess that there was so much more. In Mound 72 alone, there are 272 human burials, with hundreds more burials having been discovered in other mounds. So can I ask you all a question? Listen closely. Do you still believe that this mound is all just made of earth? Or is there something so much more right underneath all this dirt and grass? Something so much more than we could have ever imagined. With the first excavations happening yet again in our timeline in the 1920s and 1930s, uncovering some burial sites, though these were poorly documented, of course. 1920s and 1930s, poorly documented. But the negative 4000s, they've got it down. They know all about it. This is so obvious at this point. They don't know anything about the negative 2000s. Can we all see this now? Poorly documented within the last 100 years. They're not telling you anything about the last 3000. With excavations then picking back up in 1967 and then ending in 1971, where we are correct yet again. The decision to stop actively excavating the Cahokia mounds was influenced by preservation, needing to preserve the narrative. They found too much and patched that thing back up 100%. And then never touched it again and called it a dirt mound. We now know what is here at this site, giving us so many excuses. The Monk's Mound, the largest structure at the site, has not been fully excavated due to its size and the desire to preserve. This is to preserve their narrative. Can you believe this? I want to make sure that everybody can see this so clearly now. The desire to preserve never meant to preserve the items or the site. This always meant to preserve their story. Are we all seeing this clearer than ever before? Episode 107 is the one that you should watch after this to get a full understanding of preservation, conservation, and protection. With 120 mounds at the site and many remain unexplored or only partially studied, even though we all know that there are so many individuals buried at this site. Does this make sense at all? If you're really looking for the truth, is this not where you would look? They know what's underneath the grass and dirt. And I'll tell you what, when I went there and went on top of that temple, you could feel the energy. This is no random piece of dirt. 5 years ago, we all know that so many people just weren't ready to hear that this wasn't just a piece of dirt. And it's actually a burial site covering the old world people that is being hidden by grass right now. That's all changed. We can all see that this is so much more interesting and so much more entertaining than basic cable TV. And it's only getting better and better, especially when we stay in the USA and we go to Alabama, where we find the Moundville archaeological site, a site that was found in the 1300s. I'm joking. Could you imagine? No, me either. Found again in the 1880s, again in our new timeline. First documented by John Wesley Powell, the director of the Smithsonian Institution's Bureau of American Ethnology, finding it 140 years ago, like 2 or 3 people ago, and then pinning down the date of 1000 AD. And it all checks out, of course. John Powell, he just knew these kinds of things. And the best time to perform a major excavation project would be right in the middle of the Great Depression. Oh wait, no, No, that would be the worst time to conduct a major excavation project. But that's what they did, finding hundreds of burials right at the site, and then giving us the pottery again. How many times have we seen this now? Can you believe that they do this over and over? It's the same thing with the fire narrative. Same thing with chopping off the statues' hands and heads, repeating names, the looters, blocking us off from the sites. It is the same molded narrative in every country, every city. It's the same narrative all over the world because it's the same group that's making the narrative. The exact number of bodies is, of course, debated, estimating that there are several hundred individuals buried at the site, where they still haven't found them all and are yet to be excavated. And again, just like we saw in Illinois, much of the site remains unstudied, all to preserve its integrity. Absolutely not. No, this is to preserve the narrative. Again, finding things that would give it all away, and then telling us that they're just preserving its integrity. This is incredible. We're the looters. They just needed to get their hands on the pottery. Removing the pottery. This is ridiculous. Stealing the old world technology and then telling us that they found a fork, or a bowl, and a wooden shoe. It is so obvious at this point that they found more than just a bowl and some pottery. Now I'm gonna ask all of you, if you were the one that found the old world technology in the 1800s, when nobody was really even here, and you didn't want anyone to know that you had it, you would tell them that you only found some drawings and some stick puppets too. You would do this so that they would leave you alone. Because if you tell them that you found nothing, they are going to dig deeper. This is a well-known tactic within this community. It is exposed now, and I'll leave you all with this until next Saturday. This site is the second largest so-called mound in the United States after Cahokia. It covers over 300 acres with 29 mounds and is designed with astronomical alignments in mind, possibly serving as a calendar, an observatory for tracking events. The old world, the previous civilization, was so much more powerful than what we've been told. They were so much more than writing with feathers, making pottery, and then needing help putting their socks on. Finding luxury items, surely being hidden from us today. The dead cities, Cahokia, Moundville, sites that stand as testaments to a world that we were never told about. A world where massive necropolises were not just random burial grounds. They were connected, purposeful, and built by a civilization that was so far ahead of the evolving and advancing narrative that we are brainwashed with. A civilization that knew so much more about the stars, the earth, and the connection between life and death than we could ever imagine. And they don't want you to see it. They block these sites off, they loot the artifacts, and they feed you fairy tales about pottery and grave robbers to keep all of us from looking deeper, all within the last 300 years. But it's all there, all right below us, in every city, every country, every continent. And if you're still not convinced, just ask yourself this. If these sites aren't hiding something massive, why is everything about them still off limits? I hope you all have a great rest of your day. See ya.